Hi, welcome to the Metal Detecting Show, episode number 29. My name is Kieran and I have been metal detecting for nearly 30 years. This week I had the pleasure of interviewing DigitwithWill, a Scottish ice hockey maven who is pretty new to the hobby but has helped build a huge community of metal detectorists both online and locally in Scotland. Will has a wealth of local knowledge, but make sure to listen to the end, and I challenge you not to be envious of the history Will has at his fingertips. I really think Will be a huge deal in the hobby in the years to come, so get in early, make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel, link is in the show notes. So let's get on with the show. Hey, before we start, I want to thank you for listening to the show. I hope you enjoyed the show this week. If you want to give me feedback or interact with the show, please reach out to me on Twitter at DetectingThe or Instagram at The Metal Detecting Podcast, or if you want to pop me an email to Kieran at TheMetalDetectingShow.com. And now, if you'd like to leave me a voicemail, please do so on speakpipe.com/The Metal Detecting Show. The link will be in the show notes. And lastly, if you like this content, please don't hesitate to tell your friends, and if you do anything today, remember to hit that subscribe button. So today we have a man who I don't know if he realises this, but has crossed my path on Detective Artwork, modelling a detecting t-shirt which I had to buy. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the second best looking man in metal detecting, DigitwithWill. How are you doing, Will?
I'm not bad, Kieran. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for taking the time to do an interview with me. Yeah, I liked your videos on YouTube. I know you're in that spot right now where you're trying to get the 1,000 subscribers. I know it's a hard slog. It's a hard slog to get to that point. They always say the first 1,000 is the toughest. But before we get into this, do you want to start with a plug for all your socials?
Yeah, not a problem. Basically, you'll find me on YouTube if you just search for DigitwithWill on YouTube, and you'll see basically my logo. Search for me on Instagram at DigitwithWill, and on Facebook, DigitwithWill as well. And you'll find me on Detective Network at DigitwithWill again.
Just as you mentioned, the logo. I love the logo. Did you design
Yeah,
that yourself?
yeah, I did. Yeah, I basically use my phone for everything. So I designed it on my phone, and then when I was cluttering about with it, like I realised that the shape of the beard that they had preset on the app looked like the head of a spade. So
Yeah.
I kind of just evolved from there. So I did.
Yeah. So you're defined by the beard.
Yeah, pretty much everybody knows me for having a beard. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular.
yeah,
Everybody should check out the YouTube channel just to see the beard, if anything.
yeah, definitely.
So we'll start with something quite easy. You're quite new to the hobby, and I would be interested to hear how you actually got into it.
Well, so I've only been doing it for just over a year, and it all started from a TV show that had Aquachigger on it, River Hunters. Now, I didn't have a clue who Aquachigger was at the time, and it was the first episode that kind of drawn me in and caught me hook, line, and sinker. Where they were at Stirling and they found the Bronze Age axe head, and I was just like, "Oh, I want to find one of them," but I didn't do anything about it. And then for my 30th birthday, my fiance's dad bought me a metal detector. So it was just one of the like basic ones, like it constantly toned, and it only you knew you found something when it stopped toning. So it was really annoying, and I didn't find anything with it. So in my head, it was broken.
Yeah, yeah.
So so I went and bought a Garrett 250 and used that for up until just at the start of lockdown, and then I got my Vanquish. But also in the time that I've been doing it, like within a few months, I decided that on Facebook I would set up a local group because I was fed up of seeing local posts disappearing in the Scottish and the UK groups. It was just constantly disappearing. You know what it's like. You can spend hours
Yeah.
just trying to find a post. So I made up this group, and within like 24 hours, I had 250 members.
Wow.
Yeah, like including one person that was part of a community trust at a wee fishing village called Kipford,
Hmm.
and they purchased a bit of land which was basically getting turned into a nature reserve, and they offered us the chance to go detect it, which then we didn't find very much. There wasn't
Mm.
anything of great, like finds wise. Like I only found the horseshoe, but I was still learning at the time. And then that was our first group dig, which then it became just Dumfries and Galloway Metal Detecting Club instead of it just being a Facebook group. And now we have like monthly digs and things like that. But yeah,
Well,
it's been a quick year, so it has.
yeah. So you've gone from just being a novice to somebody who's orchestrated a group with 250 people in it and doing something great locally as opposed to internationally, which is great.
Yeah, it's been as I said, it's been a really really quick year. Like it's pretty crazy how quick it's went and the amount of digs, the things we're finding on group digs as our land's getting bit, like the permissions are getting better and better. Like we're finding like Scottish hammer coins and things like that. Like
Well,
Alexandra the Third's hammer coins. I think that's probably the best hammer coin that we've pulled from a group dig.
well,
But yeah, so
it's still pretty spectacular.
yeah, it's pretty good.
So you changed from the Garrett 250 to the Vanquish 440. Is
Yeah,
that what you have?
yeah, that's what I'm running just now.
What made you make that decision? I mean, the Garrett 250 is quite good. I'd be interested to see what distinguished the 440 for you.
Basically, like one of the boys that helps me run the club, he won it in a raffle, and he basically gave me it.
Not bad.
Yeah, so like he had won like a Knox 800, I think
Hmm.
2 weeks beforehand, and I had a shot of that, and I quite liked it. So obviously the Vanquish is very similar software wise to the Knox. So it gives you the same VDIs, well, roughly the
Hmm.
same VDIs and things like that. It's just I call it a poor man's Knox. So like it's like I could probably like I'm not saying I could pick up an Knox and just crack on because obviously like there's different programs and different settings and things like that. But yeah, it's basically because I got it for nothing, and he wanted me to basically have the multi IQ at my fingertips
Yeah.
rather as just like don't get me wrong, I love my 250, but obviously like you do find a lot of iron with it, and then you do miss a lot of good targets.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, the 250 is a relic hunter's dream, the 250. But the multi IQ then will help you with those hammers and get you to
yeah,
the next level,
like
really.
the my finds probably increased by about between 400 and 500%.
Wow.
Yeah, like even fields that I've done. There's a field that I've done probably around 48 hours onto it and like properly gridded it, and I'm still
Mm.
pulling stuff out of it.
That's always a great sign, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's the ultimate test, really.
yeah, it really is.
We know you metal detect, but what else do you get up to? What else do you do?
Well, I'm not not very much at the moment because of lockdown.
Yeah.
But my other hobby is ice hockey.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a two-way centerman, play for the Lowland Raiders, which is a recreational team. So it's basically like for the state people listening in the States and the Canada, it's beer like the beer league. And over here it's generally non-contact hockey, but it's still contact.
Generally.
Yeah, generally non-contact, but it's still contact.
Yeah. So, geez, hockey. I would have never thought of that. But still, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And all our Canadian listeners, I think we've got three, will love this. you know,
But
but
yeah,
it'll be
like
great.
they'll know what I mean when I say that I'm a
Yeah.
two-way centerman. So
Yeah. With the beer leagues. Something else. I noticed you a reoccurring team a couple of times. You're picking up stuff. You're almost mudlarking on a field. You're picking up bits of porcelain, bits of blue glass,
yeah,
bits of old glass. I think in one of your videos you said it was for your missus. She makes stuff with it, but I did see something you made recently, and I think I commented on it on Instagram about the love heart in the frame. If anybody's checking out Will's profile, make sure you go back and check that because it's an inspired piece of work. Did you do that, or did your wife do that
yeah, I did that.
as a
Um,
present? Wasn't it?
yeah, it was for a present for my other half's stepmom. She's a retired teacher that took up genealogy, so she's obsessed with anything old, basically, and in particular pottery. Every time we go down to their house, they stay quite near a river, and it changes every time that we're there, that we go down, and I could spend hours just looking for bits of pottery.
Yeah,
And it started, me picking them up in the field just started to add to her collection. But then I'm picking up that much that it's becoming a bit much. So I decided that I would make, well, we decided that we'd make the frame, the heart. So, but I think I might do more and potentially sell them.
yeah. Well, make sure you let me know, and I will definitely try promote it because I think it's an absolute fabulous piece of work. We all detect, and we all have buckets and jars full of bits and bobs, and we all go, "Yeah, we're going to do something with that someday." But you're definitely the only person I've actually seen doing anything with it. I
Yeah,
think it's brilliant.
it's too nice to like just have discarded or lying about. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah,
Like you get some cracking examples of like old pottery and things like that. One of my permissions is right next to a Victorian rubber stump, so you get a lot of spill off of that.
yeah,
Um,
Goldmine.
yeah, so it's constant. Like it's like you cut the field in half, and you'll not find anything on one side, but the side near the dump, it's just a litter. You can't walk a step without finding any.
Yeah.
So,
Why YouTube? Why did you get
um,
involved with YouTube?
basically, like at the start of lockdown, it was I started Instagram, and it was just somewhere to put my finds. It was something for me to do because I like photographing my finds and things like that. And then I already had a YouTube channel that I used for when I used to stream computer games. And then I fell away from that because basically because I had a kid and things like that. So it, I didn't have time to do it. So I just kind of thought, oh, I'll make a wee like finds videos with all my photos and put them there. And then it just developed from there.
You can actually see it in the videos. It's like, yeah, a couple of finds, and then you come on first for and you're talking for the first time, and then the videos are getting longer and longer, and then
Yeah,
I think your double silver video, which was great to see. That's one of your longest videos, but you can see that you're
yeah,
actually starting to progress and enjoy making the content.
yeah. I do enjoy making it.
So, do you think the social media is a huge part of the hobby for you now?
Yes, even before that, I started doing it. Like social media's had so much useful because like you can get people to help ID and things like that. Like there's one person on Detector Network, I can't remember his name, but you can literally send them a picture of a Roman coin and he'll tell you exactly
Yeah.
what year it came from and where it was from, and it's almost blank. Like there's barely any detail there, and he just can spot it straight away. It's just to me, it's that's just unreal. Like I'm nowhere near like at like that stage. Like if it's anything Victorian, I can go, oh, that's that, oh, it's that, that's that, but not when it comes to Roman stuff.
Yeah, some people just have an eye and a I'm not going to say a talent, it's more of an obsession with it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
almost like collecting Panini soccer cards back in the day or Topps Trumps,
yeah, yeah.
they
It's
have it down.
yeah, it's just like my favorite things to find that are not metal is like clay pipe tobacco pipes.
Mm,
I've now started like I've got a jar full of porcelain and I've got now started a jar that's got like clay pipes, and that's
yeah,
becoming a slight obsession. Like every time I see one, I'm like, oh
yeah. Another one,
yeah. So like I've only managed to find one full bowl, but I've never found anything
a complete.
near complete. So
Yeah. They're hard to come by though, aren't they? I mean,
yeah, they really are.
very rare you see them. What's that girl's name? She's just called a Mudlarker on Instagram. She's fairly famous, Mudlarker.
She goes out with Cy Fiennes Mudlarkin.
Yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
goes out with him a lot.
She very rarely finds a full one, even herself. When you
Yeah,
watch her.
like there was one video that the like Cy found. It was after a storm, and I think he found like something stupid like 20 complete pipes.
Well,
Yeah, like obviously it's the luck of the draw really. It's just like metal detecting, isn't it? So
oh, it is, yeah, definitely. You're starting to put a lot of production value into your content. your intros. You're definitely taking time to add quality to it. How's that journey been for you?
Basically, it's been, how to put it, my first intro, I was trying to go for, like, because obviously, like, the way metal detecting's perceived is it's middle-aged men with middle-aged spread walking in the field wanting to be alone.
Yeah.
So my first intro video was like I started it with like calming music and then glitched it into dubstep to make it more modern. But I had a couple of people
Mm.
say to me it's a bit much. So and then that's what brought me to make my newer one, which is a lot shorter. It's like more than half the time shorter. So it's basically straight to the point. And when I made that intro video, it was when I found my best silver coin. And even sitting next to like my hammer coin that I found, it's I would still class it as my best silver coin because it's a bullhead shilling, and it's literally only got one scratch in it, and that is it.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's the one that's sitting still in the dirt on my Instagram. So you should check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Last sort of question about the channel and stuff. We'll get onto some metal detecting stuff now after this. But what's the plan for the channel in the future? Obviously, you want to get to the 1,000 world domination. Then.
World domination. Thousands. The reason why I want to get to 1,000 is because it unlocks the community features, so I could talk to my subscribers rather as talking to them on different platforms. So talking to them on Instagram, Detector Network, and Facebook and Twitter sometimes. I don't really use Twitter. I don't like Twitter, so
Yeah, I'm the same.
yeah.
I struggle with Twitter, all right, big time.
It's just trying to make it like the small sentence, and it's like, nah, I just want to keep
Yeah.
typing.
Okay, so the 1,000 it's more about community engagement than actually monetization. Really, is
Yeah, it's more about the community. Like the monetizations, it's just like a bit added benefit, really, isn't it?
yeah, and I don't think it pays till you get to like 1 million subscribers anyway. So it's
Yeah,
hard.
like you've got to be like at the level of like Aqua Trigger and things like that
Yeah,
who do it full time. Like, don't get me wrong, I would love to go do it full time, but
yeah, that's the
really,
dream for everybody. That's
yeah.
the
So
dream. Here we are, the two of us, chugging away at the coal face here, trying to get a few subscribers together.
exactly.
So on to metal detecting. You might have noticed in my podcast, I'm trying to get people from various different countries. So
Yeah.
I've had South Africa, your Scotland, I've had American, and so on. Right? Can you give me an outline of the law in Scotland? Is it very similar to the UK,
Um,
or is there any nuance there to it?
it's basically we've got a system where if anything over the age of 300 years old, we've got to legally declare it to the Treasure Trove Unit, which is part of the National Museum of Scotland in Edinburgh.
Mhm.
So basically, like what I do is if I find something that I think is historically significant or of age, I'll give an example because I just sent off two things during like the restrictions and things like that. So my bronze arrowhead, for instance. So because obviously they're shut down and they're only in so many days, they're working from home, so it's easier to email them rather than just sending them. So
Mm.
you send them off the pictures and things like that, and then they say if they want to take a closer look and things like that. So then you send it off, and then you get a receipt to say that you've received it. Now it does take the processing does take forever because there is only two of them that works in the treasure trove unit. So you can imagine the amount of people that are like sending things in. So it's only recently been changed to 300 years, but I think that's
What was
because
the
they'll
privacy?
get it was 200.
Or
Yeah, so it's the 300 is fairly. I think it's just to keep anything below like 1700s basically. Is the easiest way to put it
yeah, yeah,
because they're obviously not wanting to be inundated with like shoe buckles, for instance, like 1720s shoe
yeah.
buckles, for instance, because technically it's 300 years old.
Mhm.
So it's just like a bit of common sense, really. So you don't need to send off like musket balls, things like that. So
And how big is the scene in Scotland?
it's probably a lot bigger than what I realise. Like I think my club is probably the perfect example because I only thought that there would be like 30 members at a push, and then obviously 250 members within 24 hours is pretty spectacular.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah,
In relation to Scotland, is like, are all your permissions, are they just local to you, or are you chugging a great distance?
we've got we've got permissions I've got there's two guys in my club that basically get us the permissions. And they can span basically the entire length of the region because we've got almost an admin in each major area of the region. So I'm in Dumfries, we've got two in Castle Douglas, which is like 30 miles down the road, and then at the furthest point we've got one in Stranraer. So we've got, and the two that helps us get permissions, one's a dry stain diker and one's a dairy tanker driver. So they're in farms all the time. So
Yeah,
um, they basically get it can be anywhere basically I call it clubland because we generally don't go on it unless we've got the club with us.
yeah, yeah.
But personal permissions, I try and keep them as close to my house as possible because I take my wee one with me.
Yeah,
And generally I just walk there. Like I've got one that's literally just over the wall from my house and just along a wee bit. And then I've got ones that are probably about half a mile walk, and they're my probably one's probably the most productive that I've ever had, which is in quite a it's weird because in 10 square meter area I found like over 200 musket balls.
wow.
So originally I thought it might have been like a training area because it's got
Mm,
like a cliff face against it,
yeah,
but it turns out because a lot of the local people were getting used to me being in them fields. So there was one person came up to me and said that he's been looking into it for me, and the reason why I'm finding all the musket balls is because they used to hold the Silla gun competition at that field in that area. And the Silla gun started with James the First and James the Sixth. Well, James the First, James the Sixth gifted this trophy to the tradesmen of Dumfries, and it was basically to promote their training in marksmanship. Because it was the tradesmen that defended the town, so it was in the best interest of the
yeah,
king to have basically the best
yeah.
uh, marksman. So, but yeah, it's pretty much. I don't know where it's held now, but I'm pretty sure it's still held today. But in that field, it was held there between 1720 and I think it was 1797 that it stopped being held in that field.
Wow, that's amazing. That's an amazing piece of history.
Yeah, that whole general area is like full of history. Like there's a field that's not one of my permissions. There's been a lot of Bronze Age stuff being pulled up from it in the 60s. But on that cliff face, there is a area that is being linked back to the Druids
Wow.
for like rituals and things like that. And apparently they used to throw basically young girls off this cliff face basically
Wow.
as part of the rituals.
Jesus, it's pretty gruesome. Um, geez, that's a great story though. Wow,
Yeah,
just to have that within walking distance of your house is
yeah.
you do realize how lucky you are.
Yeah, like I've realised how lucky I am, like compared to yourself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to do a sort of a quick history lesson of your area, but you've just done that.
I can add to it.
If you wanna keep going, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean Dumfries. I wouldn't be very familiar with the history of it, but I know Scotland has had many a battle, many a turmoil, quite similar to Ireland.
yeah. Well, we're the only country that the Romans tried to conquer and couldn't.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, like so Dumfries, there wasn't very much in Dumfries like way back in the day because it was basically marshes and lochs. And then there was a few castles. Obviously, like Robert the Bruce slayed his rival to the throne, at Greyfriars in Dumfries. That's when he was deciding to revolt against Longshanks. Not far away, so 15 minutes drive away, Robert the Bruce was actually born in a castle in Lochmaben. About a 10-minute walk away from my house is the old site of a castle that William Wallace allegedly hid from the English in. In this region as well, we've got one of the most iconic and probably beautiful fortresses in, I would say, the whole of Scotland. It's called Calaverick Castle. And it's very unusual in its shape because it's like triangle rather than square. What else? Back to the marshes. I'll go back to the marshes. So the marshes basically span the whole of Dumfries, and they got drained. I can't remember when they got drained, but there's one marsh in particular that was called Death Marsh, and that's where they're building the newest housing estate, which I think is quite funny.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be buying a house there.
No, I would never buy a house there.
Just recommend everybody watch Poltergeist. You know, remember that built a house
Yeah,
on the Indian burial ground. You know, so
yeah.
it's not
Yeah,
great.
well, like I think I don't know how old the name is for Death Marsh, but if you look back in some of the older maps, that's what it's got its name.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it was called that until it got drained.
If there was ever a reason for people to look at your YouTube channel, I think you've just spelled it out there the last 3 minutes. You know, all that history for you to share
Yeah,
with share with people is great.
yeah. There's loads of history. Like even like in my the permission that I've done today, like I pulled out like the bronze arrowhead,
Yeah.
which Treasure Trove are having a look at just now. And it's bronzed and it's tanned, which means it could be Bronze Age.
Wow.
But it's very unusual for arrowheads from the Bronze Age to be made of made of metal, because they were normally made of stone.
Yeah.
Like it's not unheard of, it's just very unusual. And it's that completely overshone Sean, because 2 days later I was with my friend on my friend's permission, helping him uncover the rest of his hoard that he found. So in total there was 9.5 Robert the Third hammered coins, and there were groats as well. So there were big ones. And one of the 9.5 was my one that I found. So my first hammered coin was part of a hoard,
Well,
which is, but it was completely overshone by the arrowhead.
that's great though. I mean, the bronze arrowhead is definitely a bucket lister, and a hammered, of course. Both absolutely will be top of mind. Is there anything
Yeah,
Is there anything left for you to find on the bucket list?
I would love anything Viking, basically, because I'm fairly obsessed with Vikings. And basically, Bronze Age, like a axe head. Like I would like a nice either a socket or a pal stave. But yeah, that's probably my main two. I would love to find like obviously a gold coin, but it's not like the biggest priority in the top of the bucket list, purely because it's I like keeping my finds. Like I don't like sending them off. Obviously I have to because I'm legally obliged. But if I found like a gold coin, like a gold hammered coin, like that would be it gone to Edinburgh, and yes, I would see it again, but I would have to go to the museum to see it.
Yeah,
I like picking them up and like looking at things, and like it's constant.
yeah, it's great to keep them. You know.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap up, one or two more questions.
Yep.
I noticed in your videos you're very heavily equipped with your backpack. What are you bringing in your backpack?
So in my backpack is my tripod for my phone. There is a power bank, and there is obviously munchies, just in case I get hungry. A bottle of juice, and then I have another backpack that has my little girl's snacks and juice and tablet and nappies and
The whole
baby
lot.
wipes and all that jazz. Yeah, so I'm loaded up like a pack mule.
Yeah. It's great though that you could bring your daughter out with you. I mean, that has to
Yeah,
be.
like yeah, like it's something I wanted to get used to because like I'd like her to have an interest in history
Mm-hmm.
because when I was younger I had no interest in history at all. It's only really developed in the like probably the last 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and just it's just one of those things. Like I'm very very patriotic about Scottish history and Scottish culture and things like that. I'm very very pro Scottish,
Yeah, yeah,
and I want her to be the same. Like to be proud to be Scottish, like to realise that thousands and thousands of men died and fought for the country just to have the right, even just to marry who they want,
yeah.
um, or to even spend the night with their wife after they get married, because the English took that away from them at one point as well. So, but yeah, she all she does now is just run about like a headless chicken, rolling about in the mud and throwing stones in puddles and things like that. So she does.
Best of the world, best of the times.
Yeah.
Just as we wrap up, so the last question, my obligatory last final question. What do you wish you knew before you started metal detecting as a hobby?
How bloody addictive it was,
Yeah,
and how much it takes over your life.
absolutely. On that then, and that's it for this week's interview. I hope you liked this episode of the Metal Detecting Show podcast. Check out and please subscribe to Will's channel on YouTube and his Instagram account. Both links will be in the show notes. Check out our website www.themetaldetectingshow.com for this episode's show notes. Check out our Patreon page if you want to help the podcast stay alive or just want to buy me a coffee. Just search for the Metal Detecting Show. The link will be in the show notes. If you would like to leave me a voicemail, please do so on speakpipe.com/the Metal Detecting Show. The link also will be in the show notes. And if you feel like taking your appreciation to the next level, feel free to leave me a positive review on any podcast directory of your choice. If you like this content and would like more, please don't hesitate to tell your friends and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This is how we measure the success of the podcast. Once again, I hope you enjoyed this episode and we will chat to you all again next week. Get out there, eyes down, and happy hunting.